I happened to find a very interesting interview of Dr. Arikana Chiombori. Very interesting person, very strong woman. She's a medical doctor, an activist. She's a public speaker, a doctor, an educator, a diplomat. She also is the former permanent representative of the African Union to the United States. Very intelligent woman, excellent thinking. The type of woman to the caliber of Madame Naledi Pandor, Dr. Naledi Pandor. In fact, she was expelled from the African Union, expelled from her position because she spoke too many truths that they didn't like very much. Let's listen.
DRC is going to be a tough nut to crack because of the wealth that DRC has. So much outside influence, multinationals that are interested in what they can get. As long as DRC remains unstable, they can continue to exploit DRC.
So as we can see here, she's talking about the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. This country has been through a lot for the past 30 years. Not actually 30 years. Since the dawn of time, from King Leopold II coming to Africa, he made this beautiful big land his own backyard. Yes, this country used to belong to a king of Belgium. And he did some of the most horrendous things you will ever hear about. The country has sustained so much wound. One of the richest country, if not the richest country in the world in terms of mineral. But if you look at the people, the average human being, it is reported that DRC has within itself over 120 armed groups. 120. Unbelievable.
If you ever happen to fly low over the DRC, you're going to find tarmacs in the middle of the jungle. There are planes landing and taking off, coming in to pick up minerals in the DRC. Right outside the country, and pick up and leave.
Yes, deep in the Democratic Republic of Congo's forest, you will find landing sites where airplanes from nowhere, not registered, do land very frequently. So the authorities of the country seemingly do not control their airspace completely. And some airplanes will come and land in a forest. So they've sort of built tarmacs in the forest where they will land, they will take loads of minerals, load them in an airplane, and take off. And from what you will understand very quickly, when these airplanes operate in this way, they don't pay tax. They don't report to the government. This is complete mayhem. Now, the big question here is this one. Where do the airplanes come from? Where do these ghost airplanes come from and land in these sites? Who controls these sites?
Do you think those companies that are doing that would like to see any peace and security in DRC? Of course not. I often talk about, when we're talking about issues of peace and security and governance in Africa, sometimes we concentrate on the monkeys and the squirrels in the room when the 10,000-pound gorilla is sitting in the middle.
So you can clearly see that they try everything to keep this country at war, or at least in trouble. Why do they keep it in trouble? Because if they come officially looking for minerals, they'll have to go through government. And going through government, that requires you paying big taxes, big money, in order to operate in a normal way. Or there's another idea. They can come illegally, or they can arm military people. They can arm people with very negative intention to take control of a certain area that's got so much minerals. By doing that, they can access that area very quickly. Let's say the area has got so much minerals, and they can access the minerals at a very cheap price.
Do you know how many millions of jobs we could create with one mineral? And yet they look at us and say, why is there youth unemployment? Hell, you're taking all our natural resources. You're putting trade policies that make it difficult for Africans to dictate how they sell their minerals, how they add value. The international trade policies are totally against Africa and its development, and it's by design.
So from what we understand, they say they don't want Africa to do good. They don't want Africa to grow. They don't want you to utilize the things that you have to push yourself forward, or else it's going to change entirely the landscape of the world. They don't want you to be good. Technically, DRC is supposed to be the country where everybody want to come. Everybody looking to enter because they have everything you can imagine. It just makes absolute no sense to see that country in that position. It definitely feels like an international plot to keep this country at war the longest time possible to allow them to enrich themselves to the detriment of the poor people.
And then you begin to give them examples of the things that we do. we are on an automatic pilot of stupidity that has got to end. You tell me why today Africa continues to be exploited to the extent that we do. We do not add value to our natural resources. 70% of the coltan in the world comes from DRC. Can you imagine if DRC was to come together and say everything that requires coltan has got to be manufactured in DRC? Every chip, microchip that needs coltan must be manufactured in DRC. That means every cell phone, every laptop, every electric battery that requires coltan has to be, the microchips must be manufactured in DRC. Do you know how many jobs we could create?
Democratic Republic of Congo, let's just imagine. Country filled with uranium, cassiterite, gold, diamond, cobalt, coltan, so much coltan. Coltan is what you need for the buildings of electronics, satellites, missiles, many other things, electric cars, you name it. And the Democratic Republic of Congo is about 60% of the world reserve. Just think about that. How can a country like this be poor? It makes absolute no sense.
That takes me to the Berlin Conference. Berlin Conference, if you're going to understand why Africa is today, you must understand the Berlin Conference. Some might think the Berlin Conference is a piece of history. It's a thing of the past. I used to hear diaspora ask me that all the time. Ambassador, why do you keep talking about the Berlin Conference? Yes. It's a thing of the past.
Yes, she's right.
Say, my brothers, for those who choose to remain
absolutely,
these are educated people with PhDs. The Berlin Conference is alive and well.
I don't know what to say. She's saying everything.
Did not spend 4 months in the cold Berlin winter from November of 1884 to February of 1885, just for the heck of it. They did not spend 4 months to strategize on how to prosper Africa. They spent the 4 months strategizing on how to see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated and dominated.
She is right by stating that the work in Berlin did not end. It continues today. It happens every single day in our countries because the colonialists still have their hands over the countries in Africa. Even though officially they're gone, practically they're not gone. One, because they can give you an impression that you are running your country, but in reality, they are running the economy. You're dealing with crumbles. And number two, they use Africans like you to persecute other Africans, provided that they give you some advantages, some money, a couple of millions. So provided you have some millions, you're happy to throw all your brothers and sisters under the bus. And that's very hard for me to understand.
That we're having to deal with as Black people. But do we even realize it as a pandemic that's worse than COVID? Because it misses no one. It affects every Black person. When are we going to wake up from our slumber? Because if we do not, it doesn't matter how much we get together, nothing will be accomplished because our minds are still in the gutter.
Why can Africans find solutions within themselves? Why can Africans sit together and live at peace? Why can't Africans compromise with each other and make things work for themselves? Why can't we just find a way to help each other to move forward and let them remain in shame? How is it easy for external forces to come to Africa, mix you against each other, and let you finish and kill one another? I don't understand.
Even that which we can do to take care of ourselves and improve our circumstances, we are incapable of doing so. As an African, I'm ashamed. When I would travel to Africa, an American friend can go through the immigration faster than me, the African. Why? That's stupidity again. At the stroke of a pen,
exactly.
This could be taken care of. But no, I'm from Malawi, and I'm from Kenya, I'm better. And I'm from Nigeria, I'm better. Really? How are you better? The same disease. And we say these things without even thinking.
Again, fellas, there isn't much more to add on to this. I think we need to review ourselves and ask ourselves questions. Pose ourselves real questions. Are we really brothers? Congo has to be great. Congo was destined to be great. That's why it has everything it has as riches. But everything is up to the Congolese people and the mental strength that they may have and the power they are ready to engage.